Well, I've been streaming about 7, 8 years, something like that. Made videos before then. Big fan of Diablo 3. Actually, never really played a lot of Diablo 2, but I've been excited for Diablo 4. It feels so weird to be here actually playing the game, talking about it.
I know
And
this is
yeah,
a little unrelated, but
mhm.
when I think of town, I always think of like having to run back and forth to the stash like way too much.
True.
Do you guys remember when they added Jeeves to World of Warcraft? Like,
In Wrath of
I
the
need
Lich
one of
King.
those.
Just like automatically. Well, I'm sure they'll add it into the shop. Are you guys having fun with like what class are y'all playing? And like like if you could rate like your enjoyment of your class on like a 1 to 10, what would you do? What would you say it is?
I'm doing rogue, and then a rogue again, and a third rogue right now, and I would say 10.
Wow. All right.
That's a high score, dude.
That's a high score.
Well,
I
I
don't
like
rate a
rogue.
lot of
What
things
can I say?
10. There's not a lot of 10s. Mostly
Well,
operate in the single digits.
Kripp, what about you?
Well, I played Sork until the last couple days, and I think Sork experience is really cool. Like it's a nice class. There's a lot of like cool stuff you could do, and there's a lot of stuff that you can try. I'd say the Sork experience is like a 9. It's good.
That's close
Now
to
I'm
a
playing
10.
Necro, and there's one thing that like is driving me crazy the more I play Necro. You have to like literally target the corpses to use corpse skills with mouse and keyboard. And on a controller, it just automatically targets the nearest corpse. Obviously, you can't see the corpses when you're pulling a pack of mobs. And then in the dev stream, they go over how they're both Necro players on console. So this is never getting fixed. Yes.
Yep, there you go.
Uh,
Your controller players getting auto aim in yet another game.
But it's insane. Like it's
Yeah.
not just auto. It's not like you can't cast it. It does the cast and fails if you're not
Oh.
targeting a corpse.
wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
punishes you.
Horrendous. So Necro's like
maybe
a
they
3.
could increase the range of like the target acquisition a little bit, right? So you don't have to exactly target on the corpse, and it just like has a bit of like a radius. That
Yeah,
would
it has to be like hitbox to hitbox, but the corpses are actually really tiny. So
yeah, exactly.
And also they get covered up by like every other mob that's in the area too. And like then you're stuck in an animation lock and it's like kind of yeah, it's not necessarily great. I remember having that happen whenever I was playing on the beta.
And I mean, in general,
yeah,
I think
I'm kind of against the grain on this one with the boss. I actually don't really like it across the board. You guys haven't convinced me, unfortunately, either. And the loot is a really big part for me. Like, I kind of agree with that a little bit. Like, even in PoE, if it's a hard boss and it doesn't drop anything I want, I'm still not going to bother for it. I'm going to just focus on a different part of the game. But I think the real shortfall for Diablo 4 is that defenses are kind of conditional, but it's so much easier to scale defenses than it is to scale offense. And because of that, it's going to be really difficult for them to not have bosses that are actually difficult and don't one-shot you with every single thing they do. And I think that's a challenge that they're going to have to overcome somehow. Like if you look at like a pair of pants or like a chest, you just get like 4 stats and each one increases your survivability by like 15%, which is crazy. But then there's no DPS comparison to that. Like, I didn't realize it would be that kind of game. It made me rethink like the glass cannon passive on a Sork. It's like, well, I don't want to take more damage, but actually, damage is more of a premium than survivability in this game. But then I don't know how they're going to fix bosses with that in mind.
Yeah. So during the dev stream today, they talked about resistances, and first they said we were confused about it, but maybe they meant like the community's confused why they're so bad.
I think also like people like one big difference between like Diablo and PoE and why people build defense more in PoE is because there's more of a punishment for dying in PoE, right? You lose
True.
experience. Diablo, you just lose time. Which I mean, I'll be honest, I hate losing experience, so I'm fine with that. But I think that obviously, if you don't lose anything whenever you die, there's less of an incentive to not die.
Yeah, because you just lose durability in Diablo, which is pretty crazy. I wonder. Yeah. I mean, technically they're both time, but I mean, the gold cost is pretty small, right? I haven't played software, so
yeah, I think it's like pretty irrelevant. Right?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all.
right.
I'm actually more of a fan of losing experience when you die because I like to play hardcore, but I don't want to like level a whole new character. I like the middle ground. I like the medium core. That's why in PoE I like playing ruthless because the much rougher experience curve, like you very slowly are drifting towards hardcore. Like if you want to level past like 95 in PoE ruthless, you cannot die. Like if you die every like 3 days, you're never going to level. So
Yeah.
it's really this kind of cool medium core, and I don't know. It might be personal preference, but I do like losing some experience. If I do like deaths being meaningful. Like right now, if I die, I think 10 times, I lose 100,000 gold. Like 100,000.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah.
That'll take minutes to get back.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the the lack of like any kind of like loss, I guess, for death is kind of a problem for like softcore. But I mean, there's always hardcore. I mean, we can play hardcore, but yeah, hardcore is like too extreme for some people, especially with how long it takes to double, right? If you lose it at 100 character, I mean, it's literally like weeks gone for some people. So
And you lose them to a DC too.
I
Like that's
know.
what's so
Yeah.
crazy. Like I've been watching these compilations and it's like I used to always watch like these classic WoW death compilations and it was funny to see somebody like randomly jump off and just die to fall damage or something stupid. But like it's actually just it makes me mad watching the Diablo 4 like hardcore death compilations whenever it's I'm disconnecting and then they log back in and it's like your character's in the Hall of Heroes now.
Like I know you guys have the the expectations to your viewers to play hardcore and all, but I don't want to hear any complaints from anyone that willfully chose to play hardcore on Diablo 4, given what they've seen in the server slam and the previous weekend and the crazy differences and bugs and like they've had a miraculous launch in terms of like server stability, and still you guys have no excuses. Like it's you're asking for trouble, and there's no at that end.
Sure.
You guys both did it. So
I
congratulations. But
I play hardcore.
not everyone's gonna be a winner, but
always.
Because like the way that I feel about the little events is that I skip every single one of them unless I'm just in a weird mood and I feel like doing it. And the reason for that is because you can't really speed it up. Like it disrupts the
Right.
flow of the dungeon. Do you guys do the same thing?
some of the events are pretty good.
Yeah.
You kind of have to know which ones they are because
Yeah.
most of them do kind of suck.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the issue is like, so especially the save me thing. It's like, oh, save me. First, you have to find the kneeling guy like under your pile of corpses and loot, and then you click on them. Then you have to click on them again, but you have to wait like 5 seconds in between, and then the event starts. But it doesn't really start until like 30 seconds later. It's starting to drip like one mob every 5 seconds, and then 2 mobs after 10 seconds, and like 3 mobs at like the 15 seconds. And then you get the buildup after like a minute where you get swarmed with mobs, but the ramp is too slow, the RP is too slow, everything's just too slow. So yeah, I think they just need to speed up a lot of them.
I also don't think their health scales by going in higher dungeons, because like in higher ones they seem to like they get one shot, especially if you have like the goblin exploders. It's like, save me, they're all gone. I'm like, okay, f this, I'm leaving.
I think they're in a good spot and they're just getting better with the balance, I guess.
They do have some challenges though with like mechanics. Like I don't care how much they're gonna buff channel skills. If you have to stand still to channel a skill, no one's gonna use that skill. Like it's just that simple. Like if
You can always do
like,
what they did in WoW. It's like allow you to have a legendary to where you can move while channeling.
Yeah, but
That's
I don't
very
like the idea
popular.
of making a skill not suck just to get a -1 gear slot. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Like incinerate on Sork is so hideous. It's hard to describe. Like the glyph that buffs core skills increases the crit multiplier. It doesn't crit. You have to stand still. The way that channel skills work is it charges you the cost up front and then also over the time. So
Oh.
if you channel it for 1 second, it actually costs double. And it's the lowest damage core skill on Sork. Like I don't know. If I'm like asked to use it, if they make it the highest damage core skill, I still wouldn't use it. If they make it twice the highest damage core skill, I still wouldn't use it. So it's just like a mechanically crippled skill. And I think that's the case for all the channeled skills. So they have these things that just it really needs a bit of an overhaul.
There's no other. Oh no, there's one other channel skill, right? There's lightning
Necromancer.
Storm. Necromancer has the decompose, I guess, but not a core skill, right? I think there are definitely people that just likes to stand there and like if they're fire
There's
beam.
like the power fantasy of that, of just being able to just endure everything attacking you and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can totally see that no one here would enjoy that, but
Yeah.
there are people that do that, I think.
Kripp, do you want to talk a little bit about items and your experience with them so far?
Again, this is mostly from like Sork playstyle. Items are fantastic on Sork. The 4 stat item per item is exquisitely limiting. If you want to be tanky, you're always losing damage, and vice versa. So it's always a choice of what kind of gear you're pursuing for your character. If they had 5 stats, this would kind of go away. If they had 6 stats, you have Diablo 3 where everyone's looking for literally the same items. So I think the 4 stat item, the fact that you have quite a lot of agency over the items, like rerolling 1 stats and converting rares to legendaries actually works out pretty well. By the time you finish leveling your character to 100, I think your gear is like 90% of the way there. And I think that's a good place to be in terms of like gearing out a character.
Mhm.
So the only thing that is super lame is like they pitched us on some of the coolest unique items, and I'm not convinced they exist. Or it's something like doing a flawless save the guys that are being beheaded on a Nightmare Dungeon 100 solo, and then Shaco has a chance to drop.
There's a 10%
you know?
chance.
Yeah. Unless it's some crap like that, I don't know. I don't know.
This is why I have not seen the grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Nobody
Probably.
has. Nobody has seen that sword. Like we've seen one Korean Shaco, and apparently I saw there was one I think it was called like Doombringer or something like that. I don't remember what the name of the sword was. And there was one of those, but other than that, all of these other items, like nobody has even seen them at all. Which
You
is
guys just
also
aren't
like,
lucky enough. Like, can you?
yeah, of course. Just get good.
Maybe
Yeah.
they drop in the cow level.
You know what I think they're gonna do? I think we're gonna get a tier 5. How do you guys feel about a Torment 5 or whatever they call it, a world tier 5?
Yeah, so that has been data mined. People are saying
Yeah.
that there is one, and I'm guessing that's coming with season 1, I would assume.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay.
I have a take on this. I don't know exactly how D4 works, but when I talked about how Diablo 2 works, people who data mine Diablo 4 told me that it works in a similar way. So it's like a category of files, and a lot of the files that have to do with just items and stats on a spell, it's kind of like an Excel sheet. So it's really easy to data mine. That's why everyone's data mining, because it's really easy. So if you're going to code a game where you might later have higher gem tiers, yeah, you're just going to leave some extra cells in the X spreadsheet. Obviously, you're going to do that. And I think some of these data mine guys are getting way ahead of themselves. So I think they got some Timbits of, it's like, this is where we're going to put the Torment 5, Torment 10, Torment 20 data when we decide to do it. And then the data mine guys are just like, oh my God, it's happening tomorrow. It's like, no.
So you think
not.
they're just future proofing, whereas like the data
Yeah.
mining is implying that it's happening
Exactly,
like in
exactly.
season 1.
I've seen so many people claim they have a drop, even in my own chat, and like people who watch my chat are like 30. I'm sure you go to different communities, everyone's found every single item. They're dual wielding grandfathers on Barbarian and all the I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure just all the streamers are very unlucky. That's what's happening.
Exactly. Streamers are stupid. They don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know anything,
But
man.
yeah, like,
haven't you heard?
maybe it's a really high Nightmare Dungeon thing. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Maybe they manipulated the streamer client to be worse RNG than usual instead of better RNG. So have you thought about that?
Make the viewers feel better. So what do y'all think about the like having to refarm Renown in seasons? Because like they just made an announcement. They said we're not going to have to like reopen the map.
Yeah.
But I feel like they haven't been like very defined on it. I'll give my opinion. I don't want to ever have to do those side quests again. I never want to have to do them again. Like it was nice the first time. I actually enjoyed it, and it was really great the first time. But then, what about after that? You know?
Well, the thing is that what is your plan for starting out a season if you don't want to do Renown? You just want to go straight to the best dungeon and just grind it, or what?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, you know, play a new character, build that character, get the gear for the character. Like, I mean, it's like Renown isn't really like there's never going to be a point where like I level a new character and like part of that enjoyment for the season is going to be doing the same side quests.
Personally, I gotta say I'm a huge fan of the Renown system. I really like that it actually incentivizes you to go around the world, you know, do the stronghold there, get the waypoints. That's what I've done with all my characters now. So I've done this like 3 times in a row basically now. And I had a good time with that. You know, I like going around and just grinding my way through the zone. at least once. I didn't do like full renown on all of the characters, but I did a full renown on my first, and then kind of like it should be an option at least to do the renown on the alts, and it's something that is not like useless, because the renown on the alts gives you like literally nothing. It gives you like 10,000 gold and like half a bar of XP.
I think I have a solution. Okay,
What is it?
since Wudijo is the only one who wants to do it, what if everyone who plays during the season just gets progress for free when Wudijo gets the completion for a quest?
Great, I'll get it on probably the first day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would that
sounds
work?
like
I think that would work.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have it by hour 6. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Excellent.
So,
All right. So I think any individual side quest, once you've reached where it is and you have it tracked, it's fine. I think the problem with side quests is every time you're doing a side quest, you're dealing with a crappy map system, the crappy navigation system, the horse bumping into crap, the fact that you can't have more than 20 of them. It's really hard to track. Even if you have a lot of quests in an area, the difference between a tracked quest and just a quest is it's like a one hue difference in the blue. Like it's blue versus slightly bluer. You can't
I
even
just
tell
learned
which
that
quest
there's a
you're
difference
tracking.
right now.
You can't properly skip the dialect. Like
Yeah.
I think the actual side quests themselves are fine. It's just every time you're doing them, you're dealing with the worst parts of the game.
That was the number one thing I was really upset about today, is that they didn't even touch on the fact that there's no map overlay.
I will be the contrarian this time. I actually don't mind the fact that there's no map overlay. And I think that in general, like whenever I play PoE, I always have it up. And I do think that contributes to kind of a more weird experience playing and just having this map up over the screen the whole time. How do you guys, this is going to be like a crazy thing. How would you guys feel if they added raids into Diablo? Like a 3-person boss or a 5-person boss, like world bosses, but they're harder.
I'd love it. And I'd love to see world bosses
Really?
being harder. I think they're really cool.
I'd like to see them go big with seasonal content, but games are always going to struggle to keep that balance between like solo play and group play. I have grown to be a solo player, Andy, SSF, which is kind of how I've been playing it. But to be honest, I like the quasi multiplayer. Like I like Helltide. I like following people around. I don't want to group with them. I don't want to have to deal with them. I don't want to talk to them. No, I don't want any of that.
But it's nice to see them.
Yes. And like the world boss stuff, the same. So I think they're maybe intentionally or maybe by accident kind of hitting a pretty good spot, but still I think they might have to eventually do like an SSF style game mode, but I would still like to have the side by side in an SSF mode. I think that would make it unique and interesting, and especially with like boss content and stuff like that if they do, because if you're playing SSF and you're doing boss content, you're like forced into the raid finder situation. I think that is its own chaos. I'd love to try.
That's crazy.
I have 5 mules. It's 2023. I'm playing a new Diablo release, and I have 5 mules.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't really think they're gonna do like the PoE way with selling stash stuff. That would probably be too much.
I wish they would just sell it for gold.
They're definitely selling stash tabs for money. Okay.
Well,
what are you guys on about? Are you serious?
I am so afraid of that, because I bet a guy in my stream $500 that they wouldn't do that.
Ooh,
they're definitely doing that.
I am so nervous.
If I had money in Blizzard stock, I would be upset if they didn't. Okay, that's where I'm at. You're losing your money, Asmo. Like it's just a matter of time, and I think you're losing it soon.
How are you going to recover from this setback?
I don't know. I have to go on my main channel or something, farm more subs. Yeah, I have to take a deal from Kick. Apparently, those are paying pretty well.
Elixir tab. Yep. Nightmare Sigil tab. Aspect tab.
Yeah.
Bottomless Sigil tab. Oh my god.
How much are we buying this for, Kripp?
The problem of Nightmare Sigils is so bad that when they're going to charge for a stash tab, you're not even going to feel bad to buy it. Like I'm telling you, this is like a perfect layup. Okay, we're getting laid up right now. This is a combo move. Okay?
Create the problem, sell the solution.
But it's done so exquisitely. We really have to appreciate this moment in the hustle. There's a lot of loot that's like auto pickup, and one of them is like leather or something. There's a lot of leather that drops. You just don't really. Okay, yeah. So it hits 10,000, and you can't drop it. you can only upgrade the leather to the other leather 20 at a time.
Oh yeah, and it costs gold too, doesn't it?
No. And it's not like one
different?
click for
Okay.
20. No. You have to click, hover over their 1, type in the 20,
Oh no.
enter, click OK. And that's the only way you can lower it from 10,000. Okay, you're going to have this problem, Asmo, pretty soon. Trust me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you have to do this to lower it, or else it clutters your screen. Because there's some instances where leather drops off like every mob. Like
Oh,
if you
no.
do like the one with, like the trees and the animals, every single animal drops like some leather. So your screen is entirely
Jesus.
leather if you don't do this crafting 20 at a time when you have your cap of 10,000.
Okay, in
Yeah.
season 2, it'll be 11,000. I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about the story? I know, like, obviously that's spoilers for some people who are still doing it.
That would be spoilers for me because I actually hit escape on every single conversation and cutscene.
Okay.
I've
So,
actually
yeah,
not
some crazy
seen
shit does
anything.
happen.
I haven't seen a single thing about the
Okay.
actual game.
That's fair. We can skip talking about the story.
And just to be clear, I know I had like access in the review beta or whatever. I skipped those too. I have never seen any cutscene or I've
Okay.
never seen it.
Are you
So you
ever
never
going
even
to?
watched like the full cutscenes?
It's just I'm doing the campaign at a time where I'm so sick of like NPCs giving me forced conversation pieces where I'm just completely done with it. I just want to play the game. If the cutscenes of every other quest was basically 0, I'd definitely watch all the campaign and stuff, the trailers and stuff.
There are
It's just
actually
like
cutscene YouTube videos.
brutally excessive for me.
That's fun.
Am I the only one who's been playing the game during the podcast?
Yeah.
No, you're not the only one.
Oh.